Hunter Biden back in the news, and as is usually the case, the vast majority of the liberal media ignore the story, while many in the conservative media overstate it. Today, the Washington Post released a deep dive into what we know about Hunter's dealings with a Chinese energy company, providing new details about his interactions with Chinese executives. It's a well-reported, factual story that deserves to be both covered and presented in its proper context, without the hyperbole of either side. And that's what we are going to do here. The story largely focuses on Hunter's dealings with CEFC, China Energy, a massive oil and gas company that had financing from government development banks and ties to the Chinese Communist Party and the People Liberation Army. On August 2nd, 2017, Hunter signed a deal with the Chinese energy conglomerate that earned him a one-time fee of $500,000, as well as a $100,000 monthly stipend. The deal also provided James Biden, Hunter's uncle and President Biden's brother, with $65,000 a month. The next day, $5 million were transferred into a bank account jointly held by Hunter and CEFC executives. Over the next 14 months, the bulk of that money, about $4.8 million, was transferred to entities controlled by Hunter Biden and his uncle James. This according to government records, court documents, and newly disclosed bank statements, as well as emails contained on a copy of a laptop hard drive that reportedly once belonged to Hunter. Through millions of dollars changed hands, none of the projects that Hunter discussed with CEFC ever came to fruition. Still, accounts linked to the president's son received at least $3.8 million from the Chinese firm through consulting contracts. That's according to bank records and joint agreements reviewed by the Washington Post. Hunter also received a $1 million retainer to represent a CEFC official who was later sentenced to 3 years in prison after being convicted on bribery and money laundering charges. Now, Hunter has a law degree, but he appeared to have little to do with representing Patrick Ho in the federal case that landed him in prison. Now, Hunter was never accused of wrongdoing in Ho's bribery scheme. Not long after signing the CEFC deal, Hunter requested changes to the office space he was renting in the same building that houses the Swedish embassy and other offices. He asked a building manager for new office signage to reflect a new family enterprise and a new business relationship. The Biden Foundation and Hudson West, CEFC-US. Now, according to emails included in a purported copy of his laptop and in emails obtained from the Swedish government, Biden requested keys for his new office mates, including his father, his uncle James, and Chinese executive Gang Wendong. Now, the Post also found that Hunter was approached by a CEFC intermediary about setting up a meeting with the firm's founder and chief chairman as early as December of 2015, when Joe Biden was still vice president. However, it appears that a meeting between Hunter and that man did not take place until after Joe Biden had left the vice presidency. And I should point out, with regard to those keys, apparently Hunter never picked them up. Now, during a 2019 interview with The New Yorker, Hunter said that the pair discussed, meaning he and the Chinese executive, discussed business opportunities for CEFC in the United States, including a $40 million plan to produce liquefied natural gas in Louisiana. That deal also never came to fruition. He was apparently, though, so impressed with the meeting, and this is one thing that I'm going to be asking about. He sent Hunter a 2.8 carat diamond. The exact value of the stone is unknown. Lawyers for Hunter's ex-wife claimed during divorce proceedings it's worth $80,000. Hunter told The New Yorker that the diamond was worth closer to $10,000 and that he'd given the diamond away. Now, in early 2018, things began to fall apart for Hunter and CEFC. Hunter's so-called client, Patrick Ho, was jailed awaiting trial here in the U.S., and Yi Jianming was detained by China in February of that year and hasn't been heard from since. He was the other Chinese executive. On March 26, 2018, Hunter received an email from an assistant he worked closely with on CEFC business telling him that the Hudson West was being dissolved, but that Hunter should, quote, take whatever money it can take as long as the money's available to claim. Take as much as possible or figure out a way to spend them for your own benefit, end quote. Bank records show that over the next 6 months, nearly $1.4 million were transferred into Hunter's account. So, what does this tell us? It should appear to show Hunter Biden engaging in some business deals with shady Chinese executives with alleged ties to the Chinese government. But maybe just as important, the Post, quote, did not find evidence that Joe Biden personally benefited from or knew details about the transactions with CEFC. Additionally, all of the transactions between CEFC and Hunter Biden occurred after Joe Biden was vice president and before he announced his 2020 campaign. Now, I've said this before. Some on the right claim there's a massive cover-up, but that ignores the fact that President Biden is allowing his Department of Justice to continue to investigate his son criminally, and even allowing the same federal prosecutor who investigated Hunter Biden under President Trump to complete the investigation. And it's also true that many in the left-leaning media want to pretend like this is all a non-story. There is no doubt the laptop saga and beyond is very embarrassing and possibly incriminating for Hunter Biden. This is a real story that deserves serious coverage, even if it doesn't change anything regarding President Biden's role. Joining us now is Washington Post White House correspondent Matt Viser, one of the authors of the Post deep dive into Hunter's Chinese business dealings. All right, Matt, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. A lot of work clearly went into this story. It even took us a lot of work to summarize your reporting on this. So what do you think is the most important takeaway from your story?
I mean, I think there's a lot of corroborating evidence here. Some of these charges have been out. Others in the media have covered aspects of this story. I think we've shed some new light on the amount of money transfers, $4.8 million in total, which is corroborated with bank documents, which is corroborated with material that is on the purported laptop that Hunter dropped off on the hard drive. There's a lot of emails on there. There's a lot of records and documentation. As you laid out, this occurs at a period where Joe Biden is not in office. It's before his presidential run, but it's a lot of money paid to Joe Biden's son and brother from closely tied to a country that is now the chief geopolitical foe in the Biden administration. So I think it's important for readers to understand and to sort of see everything laid out as we try to do today.
Is it fair to call the executives shady? I mean, is it fair to say that Hunter Biden was doing deals with shady Chinese executives?
Well, I think as you laid out, Yi Jinping disappeared in China. We've been unable to locate him for comment. And another gentleman where Hunter received a $1 million retainer to represent Patrick Ho was accused in a bribery scheme and was charged by the U.S. government and put in jail for a 3-year sentence. I think that these were certainly questionable figures that Hunter was doing business with and receiving quite large sums of money from.
What's with that diamond that he gets? He has a meeting with this person. There is no deal done, but then he just sends him this enormous diamond?
Yes, and that is actually by Hunter's own account, in an account that he gave to the New Yorker to add him into, where he is given a diamond. A diamond appears after he has dinner with Yi Jinping in 2017, in early 2017, in one of their first meetings at dinner in Miami. He has this diamond, and records of that exchange occur in divorce proceedings with Hunter and his wife. She claiming that it's worth $80,000, he claiming that it's much less, and that he seemed to know that there was a problem with him keeping this. And so according to his account, he gives it back, he gives it away. So he does not keep the diamond, but it's certainly an indication of what the Chinese businessmen that he was meeting with were after.
What do you think is the most important thing that you still don't know? I mean, you've spent obviously many, many hours poring over all of the available documents, et cetera. What is the most important question that you want to see answered, that you think we may eventually see answered?
I mean, I think one interesting thing is sort of what Hunter does with all of this money. It's ostensibly for business purposes. He set up a business arrangement, but we were unable to find any successful business pursuits that came as a result of this. We can see the money going into accounts controlled by Hunter, but we don't know what happens next. We don't know what he does with the $1 million or the $3.8 million that he got ostensibly for contract arrangements. So I think that was one of the major unanswered questions that we were unable to get from Hunter or any of his representatives. It should be noted, too, that the Department of Justice has an ongoing investigation into Hunter and his taxes. And we frankly don't know exactly if it's related to this pot of money that he got over this time period. But that's another kind of big unanswered question at the moment that we don't know, that maybe will be answered by federal prosecutors.
This is one of those stories that people don't realize how much work had to go into making it happen. Matt Viser, I recognize how much work went into it. There's a reason we devoted a whole segment to it. We appreciate you taking the time to come on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.